This time, World Cup 2026, the Barbarians.
'Cause I'll stay a wild rover forever and more.
Hello and welcome to By Far the Greatest Team, a podcast in which football fans attempt the impossible to rank who is the greatest team of all time. My name's Graham Dunn, making the case for Oxford United, where it doesn't belong, and joining me, as ever, King of the Data, Jamie Rooney.
Yeah, lots of data and lots of players tonight, because players are going to be at the forefront of what we're going to be talking about, I'm guessing. Do you know what? I was thinking about this, though, because the old me a few years ago would have absolutely laughed this idea out the roof. But then we got together with some amazing guests a few years ago, and we did a Euro 24 Barbarians. And I kind of, the idea's grown on me. A Barbarian team of the World Cup, you know, you kind of think, nah, that's for nations. It's for bad kits and bad goalkeeping kits and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really grown on me. And I think worst case scenario, if FIFA were to adopt this idea and bring a Barbarians team, just think, Graham, Harry Maguire's mum could tweet with super pride that her not so little lad is going to be playing for the Barbarians in the summer.
It's a happy ever after, isn't it?
Everyone is happy.
It's too good. Yeah, I love this concept. So this is kind of the latest in our series of World Cup pods. Last week we did the team that nearly made it, or should have made it, to USA the last time the World Cup was there, France. This time we are building a team who should be there, and will be campaigning in social channels for FIFA to make the appropriate steps. Now, delighted, not just myself and Jamie, delighted to welcome back. He was with us, the Euro Barbarians. We have Andrew Walker with us. Hi, Andrew.
Hello, Graham. Hello, Jamie. Thank you both very much for having me back on. I'm looking forward to getting stuck into this World Cup Barbarians team. I think it's going to be even better than the Euros one we did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's definitely then the next question, isn't it? Ultimately, if we keep doing this for like the next 20 tournaments or so, we'll be able to pit our own tournament of barbarian teams against each other.
I mean, the scale is enormous, though, isn't it? It's double the scale. I mean, the Euros was 24 teams, and it only players from Europe that had either not been selected or from teams that missed out. 48 teams in this World Cup, players from all over the globe. I wonder how many carousel players we have on our list that just didn't make that final 26.
Definitely so. As you say, Andrew, one of the things about it, I think when we talked about this beforehand, our initial fear was that this was going to be harder because of 48 teams. And weirdly, I don't know, I sort of think there's been more choice.
I find it quite incredible the amount of quality players that are not going to be there. And also, as we go through and we explain about this rule of three concept that we have, there are players who not only didn't get to the World Cup because they've been snubbed by the nation, but I think they're also going to get snubbed from this team as well, because we've got this rule of three concept where you can only have three players from each nation. But yeah, I was spoilt for choice. I could probably have picked two starting 11 teams out of what we had. So yeah, looking forward to seeing who we've all got in our starting 11.
So it could be that Harry Maguire is going to take to social channels again.
Do you know what, though? I think this really is. I think this is something that FIFA should adopt and take serious. I know we're having a bit of fun with this, but you know, the fact that we've got this incredible pool of players that are going to be missing out on a World Cup, and it could be because they've been snubbed, as Andrew said, it could be because their country didn't make it. It could be playing for countries that are never going to make a World Cup. So I think FIFA really need to be listening. And I'm sure they haven't got much going on at the moment. They're just sorting out pricing for car parks and tickets, right? So they should be taking note of this very podcast and consider that maybe in future World Cups, men's and women's, there should be a slot reserved for a barbarian team made up of misfits.
What I also like about it, and I think, and I'll be using this as a case for several players, I suspect, is that it's a bit like, because these players there's more heat behind them because they have a point to prove. So it's a bit like when you're playing a game and the opposition are a player short and you give them one of your players who suddenly performs in a way like they never did when they play for you because they're just so fired up for it. That sense of rejection.
Do you know, talking about rules, and I like the rule of three, I think it's very sensible. It puts controls in place. I don't know about you when you were selecting. I took this really serious. I didn't select players that are currently injured. I looked at this in all sincerity. So I think it's not right that you could be picking players that are not going to be fit and able to play for their countries. So it's good to know that we're all aligned on that. So that means the injury list is pretty consistent. So straight away, we remove some quality individuals that will probably go with their nations, actually.
I thought it was important that we did it. If we were picking it, you do it as if it was real. So players who are injured, you can't go there because otherwise they would. I think, as you say, the likes of those players would, if they were fit, they probably would be in there with their nation. There's some really the amount of Real Madrid players that are not going.
Gosh, yeah.
And some of the French players who I've no doubt we've selected a few in there, but I think the rule of three was important because we didn't want this to be just an England B team with a sprinkling of Italian flair.
Yeah.
One other thing we probably need to consider, and I'm prepared for this, I've got a list of candidates that we can discuss and decide, if you haven't thought about this already, who should be the head coach, the manager, to look after this Barbarians. When we did this 2 years ago, we had the great Bielsa looking after the Euro 2020 because we could have any manager from any part of the world, and Bielsa was available. He's not available. He's there. He's with Uruguay. So we are going to have to think about a coach or a head coach or a manager or a mister, whatever you want to call it.
So I think for what we'll do, we've got, as we go through manager, players, positions, bits and pieces, we've drawn up we've got a kind of a strong selection. I think we're not going to be restricted by that, but we've got probably some runners and riders. Start with the keeper. Sorry, it's because you began on managers. I thought that's where you were going. I was a bit puzzled because I think you should do managers at the end when you know
pick the team, pick the formation, and then have a look at it and see
who
would get the best out of this team. So now we are aligned.
So I think the first decision is, before we start looking at player selection, we probably want to agree a formation. And if it helps to talk through what we did the last time, I thought that might be useful because that gives us a shape. And I think the shape we went for, correct me if I got this wrong, guys, it's a 4-2-3-1. Well, 2 years ago, we went for the goalkeeper, Hradecky, who I think was having a great time at Leverkusen under Xavi Alonso. I think there was some kind of internal influence in terms of how Ben White got into this team, but we don't need to. I also think the same influence possibly
for this lot as for this time round as well, maybe.
Yeah. I think Ben White was in there to add a bit of devil in it, wasn't it?
It was, yeah, absolutely. Shithousery, I think we called it. Yeah, and full disclosure as well, declaring my interest, we had Lindelof and Hummels at centre back, and the Greek Liverpool left back at the time, Tsimikas. I think that's how you pronounce it. Now, last time, Graham, do you remember we had Stu on with us? And
yes,
he's a big Fulham fan, and Fulham had literally just signed Norwegian Sander Berg, and he was very keen multiple times to press home that Sander Berg was the first pick defensive midfielder.
Yeah, I'm not. Well, what happened to Sander Berg? I don't recall him really setting the world on fire.
Maybe if Stu was on the pod, to say differently, but yeah, I can't really think of many highlights on Match of the Day where I was thinking, oh wow, who's that next signing at Fulham?
Who did we put in the midfield with him?
We I think we stumbled across putting Pranic in, who was playing for Juve at the time. Well, he may have moved on. But I was in Bosnia when we did this, and I think I was so influenced by the locals that I felt I had to put a Bosnian in the team. And I kind of suggested it a few times. We never really decided it, but I don't think I was ever challenged on it. So I think by stealth, Pranic got into midfield.
Excellent. And then Odegaard, who I thought, there was a bit of a no-brainer on this because Norway hadn't made it in. So it would have been eccentric not to pick Haaland, and Odegaard made a lot of sense. And then on the wings, we had Grealish, who was quite unlucky not to make the squad at that time. Quite a long way from the squad this time around. And Kulicheski,
Well, you called him Cooler Shaker, so you might as well stick with that.
who was on fire at the time for Spurs, in fairness.
He was. I think Andrew was quite, through gritted teeth, accepted that Kulishevsky was part of our 11. Yeah, so that was our team, and that was our formation. So I think the key question is, what shape are we going to play before we dive in and start selecting our squad?
I've got exactly the same formation this time round, actually. Yeah, it fits in nicely with my picks. So I don't know if you guys have got something different at your end.
I pretty much have the same as well, or I can definitely make it work that way with the players that I picked. Yeah, so 4-2-3-1 absolutely works for me. Graham, are you on board?
I'm more than happy with that.
Brilliant. So 4-2-3-1, we have a shape. I think we have to start picking our players. Should we start with the goalkeepers?
Keepers.
So to help us as a visual aid and to kind of list out a few in the running order, we've got a selection, but it's by no means is it the only selection. It's just to kind of help aid a little bit of selection. And the three we've got listed here are Donnarumma of Italy, Jan Oblak of Slovenia, and slippery guy Andre Onana, who has been plying his trade in Turkey, but the brilliant Cameroon goalkeeper, Andre Onana. There are a few others to consider. How's that fit, guys? Do we need to be considering anyone above that, or are we focused on those?
I was quite pleased to hear Andrew suggesting he had a couple of additions to the table, because I think there's clearly a very strong choice, but I think I'd like to see a bit more challenge for that keeper slot.
Yeah, I've got now. We might not get him in there because of this rule because this is where, as we go through the team, where you've got that rule of 3, it sort of cripples you in other positions. But Aaron Ramsdale really does need to be considered. And if you think about his sort of character, what he would bring to a FIFA Barbarians side, very mouthy, very vocal, but then then it limits you to only 2 England out players. So
Ramsdale is an interesting choice, as you say, in terms of character. And you have to think one of the things we know, it's going to be, the heat's going to be quite tight. We know it's quite a cautious defensive game these days. The penalties comes into it, doesn't it?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, very important.
And I think Ramsdale is somewhat. I don't know what's Ramsdale's record on penalties, because he definitely strikes me as somebody who has the character to enjoy that challenge.
There was a few times with Arsenal where he actually didn't make saves, but the players would just completely miss the target because he'd just psych them out. There's a lot of shithousery before the penalties that him and Emi Martinez are sort of the best do at that sort of thing. And although I have thrown him in here, I admit I haven't selected him as my goalkeeper, but I thought he did deserve a bit of a mention. Well, you two may feel like he deserves a spot. I'm not sure.
Well, I guess, for me, the standout from alternative has to be Donnarumma, doesn't it? He's obviously a good age, 27, great shot stopper. Not necessarily that great with his feet, but he is your shot stopper, isn't he?
He is, but then he's Italian.
Yes.
And I've got, obviously we've got, I think it's incredible that Italy didn't qualify again, but we've got an abundance of outfield players of Italy. So he doesn't make my one. He doesn't even make the squad with me. I've gone for Oblak from Slovenia, veteran goalkeeper, great servant at Atletico Madrid. Mm-hmm. Bit of shithousery as well at Atletico. I think he'd bring what you would need to a FIFA Barbarians #1 jersey there. And it frees you up with your outfield selection as well, because I don't have any more players from Slovenia to pick from.
I've also gone for Jan Oblak for similar reasons to Andrew, but also to really get into and kick off in the spirit of what this Barbarians team is about, which is giving the opportunity of players that would struggle to make a World Cup because of their nationalities. Slovenia have made 2 World Cups. The last was in 2010. Jan Oblak, who's been around for ages, made his debut internationally at 2012. So he's 2 years late, and he's never played in a World Cup. He's played over 400 games for Atletico Madrid. He's been an absolute cornerstone of Simone's empire in Spain, where they have won league titles and gone to Champions League final. For me, yeah, I think Donnarumma is a great goalkeeper. I think he'll get, he should get a chance to make a World Cup with Italy. Unless this incredible run continues in 4 years' time. But for me, my keeper was Jan Oblak.
All right, I'm happy to go with the democracy on this. I have no sort of issue with him, so I think Oblak is probably going to be starting in net. Excellent. Okay, now we get to the fullbacks. I mean, I was gutted to find out that I couldn't choose Jed Spence because he turns out that he's going.
Just incredible. I don't know what's going through Tuchel's head there. I mean, he's not going to play a World Cup minute for sure.
It seems really. Do you know when you sort of you think, oh, I've been quite busy. I've sort of been preoccupied with Oxford's championships, staying up struggle. I've taken my eyes off the ball of what's going on in the Premier League. It's like, did I really take my eye off the ball that much? So in the absence of Jed Spence, we do have some decent options out there. Jamie, do you want to give us a flavour of some of the possibles?
So I'm just going to speed through them and we can debate which ones we want to talk about. Trent Alexander-Arnold, Jermaine Frimpong, Danny Carvajal, Matty Cash, Lewis Hall, Milos Kerr, Kez, Patrick Dorku, and Ricardo Calafiori. There are a few notable others, but that's where I've kind of focused our selection on. But again, anything that is not on the list there doesn't mean it's not included.
Andrew, do you want to get started on fullbacks?
Yeah, and I've selected based off of I've got two players from the same nation. So I've got a centre back and a fullback of the same nation, and then mirrored it on the left as well. So I've gone with Trent at right back. I think it's exactly the type of attacking right back that you would need in a team like this, and there's nobody else really. Carvajal, I think would probably be the next pick, but Trent would, if this team's all about attacking and flair, then he gets in there for me. And on the left, I have gone with Calafiori because again he is very physical. He gets you up the pitch. He's a nightmare on set pieces. Gets in your face, and I think he kind of brings that Barbarians mentality to the team. He's suffered a bit with injury this season, but when he's available, he definitely is the first choice at left back for Arsenal.
I think it's a good mix as well, isn't it? Because you've got. I had Trent as well at right back. I think that he's a sort of standout quality there. Plus, also, I think to some extent, if you're going to complain about Jed Spence playing or whoever else has made the squad, I think I'm in the camp that says if you've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, he should at least be in that squad. You may not be your start. You may not always start him depending on the opposition, but you can definitely see circumstances where you would need him. So I think he's a definite must for this. But as you say, Calafiori is I think makes a good foil for Trent, who obviously is going to get, as we know, caught up the pitch and out of position.
Yeah, and he can play. I think the thing with Calafiori is he can play centre back as well. Trent often does find himself in that kind of quarterback position when you're on the ball. So it makes the formation a little bit more fluid. You can switch to a back three with Calafiori on the left there. So yeah, I think it gives the team good balance, I think.
Jamie, where are you coming at on the fullbacks?
So the left-hand side, absolutely 100%. Calafiori was my first pick, and I think the obvious pick for the left-hand side. I've gone for Matty Cash at right back. You laugh.
Go on.
No.
You might get this past us.
I mean, I get everything you're saying with Trent, but Trent's only played about 1,200 minutes for Real Madrid this season. He's been plagued with injury. He's definitely not the Trent Alexander-Arnold from a few years ago at Liverpool. Matty Cash has had a brilliant season with Aston Villa. They've finished in the Champions League positions. They've won the Europa League. Matty Cash has played in over 40 games, and he's won an incredible amount. Over 30 tackles, 25 interceptions. 84 clearances, 14 blocks. His numbers are really good for right back, and he's solid as well at right back, and he's very pacey. So yeah, I kind of get the Alexander-Arnold view, but I went for somebody who cash in the pocket.
He's a solid one on fantasy football, Matty Cash, as well. I've had him in my team for the last 2 seasons.
When I saw Matty Cash on the list, I was pretty confident that you'd gone from him, Jamie, because he was so far away from my list.
If you do take Cash, then that leaves a spot for Aaron Ramsdale as the backup keeper, and maybe a keeper you bring on if you're in a shootout.
Okay, well, we'll come back and make our final decision, because I think you're right. One of the challenges is going to be tipping over the 3 rule, but I think we've got our left back sorted at least. Now, centre back, some decent options here, and I think there's definitely a few. I think there's one there's one which is very topical, because we obviously talked about him already here. But Jamie, do you want to just go through the list on here?
Yeah, so again, it's just a sample list of what we think are the main contenders. So Alessandro Bastoni, who won the championship with Inter Milan, Italian Nicola Milenkovic. Those familiar in the Premier League will know he's done some incredible stuff for Nottingham Forest, plays for Serbia. Ilya, this is where the pronunciation is going to get it. Ilya Zabani, I think Bournemouth fans, I'm really sorry. He plays for Ukraine. Dino Zan, the former Bournemouth player, has been out at Real Madrid. A bit of an indifferent season, 21 years old, but still want to watch. Sir Harry Maguire, absolute shoo-in, surely. And then we've gone for the double silver. Antonio Silva, who plays at Benfica. Benfica won the champion. Well, they didn't win the championship, sorry. They went unbeaten this season and finished 3rd. I mean, I don't want to say it, but going unbeaten this season does seem to be overrated. And then a little bit of romance here. 41-year-old Thiago Silva, who's done everything in the game, playing in Fluminense. I couldn't help but think we shouldn't overlook the quality of Thiago Silva. There are a few others of note, but I think that was the core selection that I could think of in terms of what our 2 central defenders will be. And I like already where Andrew's going with the thinking, because I did this as well. So I hope you can appreciate this, Graham. Left centre back, right centre back. And that was very much key in my selection. It wasn't just 2 centre backs.
No, left-footed and a right footer as well. Yeah, to pair with the fullbacks for sure. That was my thinking. I wasn't actually quite sure if Harry Maguire was right-footed or left-footed, so I did have to do a quick Google of that when I was making the selection.
Harry Maguire, I think. It's funny, isn't it? You kind of. I'm not sure. I realised, like a lot of people, that you didn't feel passionately that Harry Maguire should be there until he's not there, and it just occurs to me when I look at the lineup of defenders there and other defenders, to have someone who has been there, done it, proper experience, threat at there's an absolute level with him. You know what you get. I think he's a shoo-in.
Yeah, and he's had Jamie, you're better to tell us. I think he's had a really good season. United, he's really solid. He takes ownership. Like he can take a penalty in a shootout as well. He can go and stick one in the back of the net there. Like he's. I was really surprised that Tuchel didn't put him in the squad, and I think he could. He's definitely in this team and a shout for captaincy as well.
Yeah, he has. He's been amazing at United. I mean, Maguire was the one that I was surprised that Tuchel didn't take him because of his big tournament experience and the fact that he's a threat at set plays in attack, but also set plays in defence. He's a threat in both penalty boxes, and he's proven that. And World Cups come down to small margins, and I think set plays are going to be an absolute fundamental feature of this World Cup. So it did surprise me that Maguire's not there purely for what he offers. Outside is solid defence. Maguire, you won't be surprised to hear he's in my team, but I put him on the left,
which he can do. He has played on. I was trying to think where he played. My memory is that he's played both, and he's sort of comfortable.
He does play both. Yeah.
I think you might be right. Actually, where I'm just thinking about his position where he's been playing for England. I have him. So I have him on the right next to Trent, and I've gone Bastoni, the left-sided, as the left-sided centre back. I think he's had a great season with prime age, and just one of those centre backs who should be all over the World Cup. And again, it just comes down to the fact that Italy can win European championships, but can't seem to qualify for a World Cup. I was very tempted with the romance of Thiago Silva in there as well, because, and again, he would be a great shout as the captain. Could he play a full 90 minutes? I don't know.
I too. I hadn't. I mean, he was totally off my radar, but I thought Thiago was a absolutely fantastic shout. And I think the only thing that stopped me really going there was I was a little worried about Maguire alongside him, and I sort of thought they didn't feel like a perfect combination. I don't know if Bastoni's got a lot of pace, but he definitely feels a better fit.
Yeah, I think when you're looking at the age as well, Maguire's 33 years old now. Only 27, so he's prime fitness levels, everything. So I think they would complement each other quite well there at centre backs.
Who did you have on the right then, Jamie?
Well, I had Bastoni as a serious choice. And in fact, I was weighing up Bastoni with Maguire on the left-hand side. But I like how we've changed the shape of the team now, and it kind of fits in. So I'm happy to go with Bastoni. But I had Milankovic, the Serbian. Milankovic. Pronunciation is the thing that we're bringing back. Mispronunciation is the thing we're bringing back into this podcast, Graham, after a few weeks of good pronunciation. Yeah, I think he's solid for Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have had a pretty poor season, but this guy, he reminds me so much of Nemanja Vidic in terms of his approach to start of play. So I kind of have a soft spot for him for that reason. But I'm quite comfortable with Bastoni. I think Bastoni is the best central defender on this list, bar none, to be honest. So it's right that he's there. But yeah, I was trying to be a bit clever with the left and the right, and I'm quite comfortable with Maguire playing on the right-hand side because I know he can do that as well.
Yeah, I think... I mean, Forest fans absolutely love Milankovic, or however you pronounce it, but they do love him. But I just think...
Who did you have, Graham? So you had Maguire.
I had Maguire and Bastoni.
Okay, cool. Brilliant. So this works out really well.
So I think that one's carried.
Indeed.
So we get into... Now, midfielders, I enjoyed midfield. There are some good options, but again, midfield, you're sort of trying to, I suppose you're thinking about balance and shape, probably more so than any other bit of the part of the team. I think you're sort of worried maybe about how players work together there. Lots of good options here. Jamie, do you want to give us a bit of a rundown of some of the players that we had in mind?
Yeah, a slightly bigger list that I've kind of created here to help us with selection, because I wasn't sure whether this is going to be 2 or 3 players potentially. But so the ones I've picked out, Sandro Tonali, who plays for Italy, great season with Newcastle United. Nicola Barella, Inter Milan, the title winners in Italy. Quite a surprise, actually. Camavinga, the French midfielder that hasn't been picked by France. I think he's done pretty well with Real Madrid, from what I understand. A handful of games that I've seen. The Hungarian Szoboszlai, Cameroon's Carlos, not to be mixed up with Justin Verlieva. We've got England's Adam Wharton, absent from Tuchel's selection. Julian Brandt's had a pretty good season. Solid professional for Borussia Dortmund. The youngster Mateus Fernandes, who was part of the West Ham team that went down to the Championship. And I just had to do it. I had to add Ederson, really. Atalanta just about to sign for Manchester United. I looked at his numbers and I felt quite good about the fact that United have signed him from a personal perspective. And there's another reason why I kind of added it in, because I think his numbers are fairly impressive. They stack up with the rest of the people on this list. Let's pick up a few cards. But in terms of like his pitch coverage and his interceptions, yeah, pretty useful addition, I hope, for Carrick's team. But that's the 9, and there's a lot of midfielders that you can pick from. And there's a few others that I've listed. Most of them play for Denmark.
So, Andrew, what was your thinking on the midfield too?
Yeah, I sort of chopped and changed with it as I was sort of making the team today. It'd be interesting to see what you guys have got. I've put Camavinga in my as a sort of central midfielder, defensive midfielder, and I've paired him with Tonali. But equally, I think I'm looking at Dominic Szoboszlai and just thinking like, how can I not get him in there? But he is a bit more attacking. But then I think as we get onto the attacker, there's an abundance of attacking midfielders and strikers that we haven't even got to yet. So I was going for more midfield engines, if you like, in Tonali and Camavinga, and Tonali completes the three Italian players that we can select from. Carlos Baliba would be good in there as well. Like, Brighton fans really rate him. I think, Jamie, of Man United been linked with signing Baliba as well in the past.
Yeah, I think, well, last summer I think it was around about the 100 million mark. Brighton incredibly shrewd and brilliant in the transfer market, both buying and selling players. Yeah, I think they wanted 100 million. Not so sure he'll get that now this season, but yeah, still a youngster, 22 years old, and an energetic, talented player. Yeah, he was on my shortlist. I had 5 players shortlisted here for 2 positions, 6 actually, because Camavinga was on there as well, which I didn't go with, but I did go with Tonali. So yeah, I did pick Tonali.
So who did you pair with Tonali then?
I had to pick Szoboszlai. I just think he's fantastic. I just think he's worth. Can't believe I'm saying this. He's the reason why it's worth watching Liverpool from my perspective, because he's just a wonderful, wonderful player. And ridiculously gets stuck at right back occasionally, but I mean he's the man you want in the centre. And I mean set plays. Is there anyone better in the world that takes free kicks than Szoboszlai? Takes them harder than Szoboszlai? Yeah, so I had to go for Dominic Szoboszlai.
Yeah, he took a pretty good free kick against Arsenal early on in the season.
Yes, he did, yeah.
With the thing that you can't discount with Baliba, I think you got to think about all of those FIFA Barbarian fans in the stands singing their version of the Monkeys' "I'm a Believer" with any of those other ones.
Oh my gosh, I'm torn.
That is absolutely great shout.
Plays
And
the spirit of what we're trying to do here. It really does.
yeah, and a good bit. I
So
was the same. I was all over the place because I came to the same conclusion as you, Jamie, with Tonali and Szoboszlai. I can't pronounce anyone's names, and I just wondered how they worked as a two. I mean, Tonali can put his foot in, I guess, but I just wasn't. I like the. So I was going around the houses a bit on like a proper holding midfielder. I think that's maybe the only position I felt we weren't blessed with. As Andrew says, if you have that more creative midfielder, maybe you need some balance. But maybe Baliba is the one. I mean, I very much enjoy the chance option.
Yeah, it's really made me think about it. But I can't not have Szoboszlai. So I would probably in my team I would probably sacrifice Tonali for Baliba and keep Szoboszlai. And I think that's the balance, because Baliba could still play in that kind of energetic defensive role, and you can let Szoboszlai just go box to box, I guess.
What was his form like on the back end of the season? Because I think he started well, didn't he? And then it sort of tailed off. I work with a couple of Brighton fans, so I hear quite a lot that they rate him really, really highly, and they put £100 million price tag on him.
He gives legs. I mean, he just wins balls. He's very physical. He's just a good disruptor in midfield. Doesn't score, doesn't create goals, but does all that kind of dirty work. So as a number 4 in this setup, it does feel right. Where Tonali, I guess, would be more glamour. Is more of a kind of a midfield thrust to Tonali, and could Szoboszlai do that? So yeah, I mean, Baliba was on my shortlist, and I didn't go with it, but I could quite happily change my view to have Baliba in.
So what did we think? Baliba and Szoboszlai.
I like that as a pair. I mean, incredible that Tonali is missing out twice.
Yeah, and so I think the fact that Szoboszlai is Hungarian, it gives you some more options.
A bit more flex, doesn't it?
It gives you more options up there. But I'm happy with that. Then I'll strike my strike my two out and put those guys in.
Slobosai
Okay, Neil.
and Belieber in midfield. I really am a believer.
Now we get to the wide players in this team.
Wide and attacking. So, because we're playing the 4-2-3-1, I mean, there's an argument. You could pick 3 in this list. I just say there's an argument. I'm also leading in that I picked 3 from this list.
Yeah, I've got 3 from this lot as well.
Yeah, it definitely makes some sense.
There's
Go
a
on,
shoe-
Jamie.
Well, I mean, we'll go through the list
Yeah.
just so people can understand who's in it. We've got, it's a short list. It's Cole Palmer and Phil Foden, both left out by Thomas Tuchel. Then we've got Georgian wizard Kravak Shakila. Please help me with the pronunciation, guys. Kravak Shakila. I get that wrong every time. Brandon Buemo, and then we've got Lookman, who's had a pretty decent season in Spain. Richarlison and Gabriel Jesus. But there's loads of players that potentially could fill this position. And potentially there's players in the striker list that we have as well that could also fill that position. But they're the ones I've got listed, and it's quite encouraging that potentially we might all be thinking the same. I mean, there's one player, right? We've all got him, surely.
Yeah, the Georgian
KK.
with KK.
Yeah. Hey.
But yeah, I think he's on all of our teams, isn't he?
Yeah, I had him on the left of the 3. That's normally where he plays for Paris as well.
Yeah, same here. I've got him on the.
So, Andrew, who did you go for on the right?
On the right, I've gone in Burmo. I think, Cameroon have got. Again, I can't quite believe Cameroon didn't qualify. There's still quite an abundance of good players there, and I think he's been pretty good at United, and I think he'll only get better next season. And he's got pace, energy, strong on the ball. Yeah, I think he'd be a great addition on the right there.
Yeah, I'd gone, weirdly, because I'm just looking at it now, I'd gone for Lookman on the right. And now I see that he mostly plays on the left. I'm thinking, well, he was a bit of a last pick on the right. And now I see I'd be playing him out of position. It'd be the only reason I'd gone for him was that I thought, play a player in the right bit. So I think what has been proved time and time again is that you are better off playing players in their right
positions.
It is. For every World Cup, there'll be a Trevor Sinclair. There'll be someone who isn't the best player by any means necessarily, but you are much better playing someone who that's where they belong. And I suppose, that's the thing a little bit with Palmer and Foden. I think there are some other question marks about those, but it doesn't feel to me like they quite belong in that position. It doesn't feel like that's their best place. So, in Bueno. But what about you, Jamie?
Yeah, I also got Brian and Buemo. I have to say, I didn't realize how amazingly good he was until I've seen him up close and personal at United. The guy he's just an incredible player. I mean, he really has so much in his locker, and it's just been a joy to watch. So yeah, it's really encouraging to hear that, Andrew, you kind of feel the same. But yeah, he's a special talent, and I think he fits this team exceptionally well on the right hand side in his right position.
And I'm loving the age profile of our midfield kind of form. Yeah, I think they're all sort of mid-20s, 22, 25, 26. It's the perfect kind of age for, because in the heat in the US, you are going to need that energy, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm glad none of you have picked Richarlison because.
Well, I have one more in this list that made my 11.
So I'm assuming, and I think Andrew hinted he might have it as well, another one in the list for and presumably this is sort of, it's essentially playing the 10.
Yeah, number 10.
So Jamie, who did you go for?
I've gone, I think it's between Palmer and Foden, and I've gone for Cole Palmer. I love Cole Palmer. I think he's had a fairly unique season by the standards that he's set previously, but there's something about Cole Palmer. Maybe it's the fact that he's a Manchester United fan. I just think he's a fantastic player. I'd like to see him do better at Chelsea, but I don't want to see Chelsea do well, and that's the problem. But yeah, I just think he's a fantastic talent. He just makes football look easy and effortless, and a creator of goals and a scorer of goals. So yeah, I think if we were looking between Palmer and Foden, my pick was Palmer.
Andrew, where did you go?
Well, I went Foden. I think Palmer this season, there's a reason why Tuchel's left him out. It just hasn't clicked this season. I think Foden's been out of form as well. I know he's been in and out of that Man City team, but he was starting to come good towards the end of the season. I'm quite surprised Tuchel didn't pick him because he sort of picks players who are in form. So I was surprised that he didn't make the England squad, and I think he'd have the bit between his teeth about that as well, and he would actually quite love the opportunity to come here. He does well, as you say, when you actually play him in his position and not trying to get him to play left wing like he has done for England. If you stick him in that number 10 shirt and just say you've got the free reign of the pitch there, go where you want and find the space and find the pass. Yeah, I think Foden would be better in that position than them.
And it's interesting at the moment. So I'd picked more of a 4-4-2 initially, and then when we opted 4-2-3-1, I immediately was thinking, okay, well this is going to be between Foden and Palmer really for that 10, because and they're players who have not necessarily delivered it on the international stage, but that's because the England have been a bit stuck in the same way they were when they were trying to cram Scholes, Gerrard and Lampard together, aren't they? You see all these players you've never seen the best of. So I can see lots of people would be looking at Foden and saying, why on earth is he getting another chance after really failing to make the kind of impact he's capable of? But I am of the view that this is his time. He's a great age. He's 26. He is a star. He does have it in him. And I think if you build the side around him or build that attack around him, I think he comes to the party. I like Palmer, but for me it was Foden.
Yeah, Palmer can take a penalty as well, though. He has got that in his locker. Which I'm still thinking about, still looking at that team and thinking, if you get to the shootout, especially with those attacks, Brian and Burmo can't take a penalty, especially against Grimsby.
No,
He's got form. Lookman's very good at from the penalty spot, So we just have the strikers to go through. Go on, Jamie. Who did you have up front as your options?
Yeah, so the options I've listed out again, purely just to kind of narrow it down, but doesn't include every possibility, is Victor Osimhen, who's had I think a pretty decent season in Galatasaray. I think he's done quite well. Great record in Italy as well. The 37-year-old Robert Lewandowski, still playing his stuff in Barcelona, probably coming to an end soon. The youngster Benjamin Sesko from Slovenia, who's had a hot and cold season with Manchester United. So the Frenchman who plays for his origins, where his parents are born, it's Serhou Garasei, plays in Dortmund, 30 years old now, Guinean international. And then we've got Pedro, who's been doing pretty good stuff for Chelsea, probably the outstanding player for Chelsea this season. And can also plays in the second striker role. And then my own goal for my part, I've included an injured player in Hugo Ekitike. I've got him on my card to say he's on the injured list, but there I am having on the slide. So I think we just have to imagine a strike through, or we could replace him with Rasmus Højlund instead as a contender.
We could replace him with Højlund.
Whether he'll make the cut, I'm not so sure.
Andrew, who did you have leading the line?
I could be swayed either way. I think there's a bit of romance about Lewandowski.
Yeah.
But then you got to think about the heat that those guys are in at 37 years old. He's had a good, productive season at Barcelona, but he's not prolific as he used to be. I have gone with João Pedro as my sort of number one striker. I think he's had a very good season at Chelsea, scored 20 goals. I know a number of Chelsea fans who couldn't believe that he didn't make the Brazil squad. Few of them were.
But I think his family couldn't believe it either, could he?
Well, and I think I was listening to TalkSport the day that the Brazil squad got announced, and there were Chelsea fans phoning in just saying that they really, really couldn't believe it. Yeah, 24 as well. I think he'll be running up and down the pitch the whole game. I think energy levels won't be a problem. So, yeah, I think out of that lot, unless, Jamie, you're going to try and make a case for Sesko, which I'd love to hear.
Yeah, you'll have to wait for that one. Maybe might be our Euro 2026 squad I can start making that case. So I think it's just an achievement that he's made this short list, but then it was a list put together by a Manchester United fan. So there is definitely an interest declared on that.
So where did you go in this one?
So I've gone a bit more romantic. I like the Lewandowski romantic idea. But I've gone a bit left field on this, and I've gone for Sahuga Garasai. And the reason I've done that, because he's a really steady player. He's had a couple of brilliant seasons in Germany with Dortmund now. Before that, I think Stuttgart. Scored a lot of goals in the Bundesliga. I mean, you could probably argue that's easy to do because Harry Kane scores thousands of goals in the Bundesliga. But Guinea as a nation, they're probably never going to qualify for a World Cup. And I hope I'm wrong when I say that. But they have to compete with the giants of Africa, Algeria, Morocco, Cameroon, Nigeria, Egypt. And they've come close. They're a serious contender, but they just can't get over the line because of the quality around them. So Guinea is a team that probably will never go to the World Cup. So it means we've got a player, and this is the whole point for me in terms of what this Barbarians team should be, just giving the opportunity to those that, like the George Bests and I would say Ryan Giggs, but I mean, he was probably busy through the summer anyway, so he probably didn't need to go to the World Cup. So I think I can be swayed on this because I mean, João Pedro was definitely on my list. So was Victor Osimhen. But my pick was Godesai.
I don't know a huge amount about him. I will be honest about that. He feels a bit halfway through. I was in exactly Andrew's camp. I'd sort of, one of my logics of building a side with lots of legs and energy was so that I could splurge it on a 37-year-old striker up front. But it's quite a lot for him to do to play that role. I think João Pedro is kind of the obvious, or not the obvious choice, but he's the most the kind of the perfect player that fits into this. Also, he's got, we don't have Ben White in this squad, and he, I think there's a little bit of devil in Pedro as well.
Yeah, I think we've not really talked about Victor Osimhen, who's he has been pretty good the last sort of 2 or 3 seasons. Arsenal have been caught in him as well. I think we were sort of looking at him, or when we were signing Gyökeres. He's 27 as well. Yeah, 27.
Yeah, good
well, so sort of good age, and yeah, I think between the I think Lewandowski would certainly make the squad, potentially coming off the bench. But yeah, you got to think, if you got to draw, if you were playing in Miami for one of the group games, and that it's 37 years old running around trying to
It's funny, isn't it? Osimhen, and what a difference just like a season makes, isn't it? A year ago, I think he'd be a shoe-in. I wouldn't have, and actually, I'm sort of kicking myself a bit for not. I think I could be swayed by Osimhen as because he does have something about him, doesn't he? And his goal record is excellent. He's got good energy. He'd have the presence, and I think this is. I think that would be my choice.
He was my original pick before I went all romantic. Like, João Pedro was definitely in there, but Victor Osimhen was definitely my number 9. Because I think he is. The Turkish league is not the best league in Europe, but it's still a pretty tough league, and it's a pretty tough place to play as well. Playing in Istanbul for any of their teams is a tough thing to do when you're going to the opponent's away ground. Yeah, so he was originally in my selection before I got lost in the romance of what we're trying to do.
Well, I think we should go Osimhen.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I've successfully persuaded myself against my original decision there, but
that's what we're here for.
I think it was an important argument to have with yourself.
So
go on, Jamie. How is the side looking? I think we've got a couple of decisions still to make, but how is it looking at the moment and the balance of players?
If I've tracked this right, and if your eyes are working okay, what I have here is in goal, fullbacks of Alexander-Arnold and Calafiori. Central defenders of Bastoni and Maguire. Defensive midfielder Carlos Saliba. Central midfield Dominic Slobozai. Phil Foden in the number 10. Wide attackers are Kvaratskhelia and Mbeumo. And as we just discussed, Victor Osimhen is our number 9. And I put a few on the bench that we've kind of noted. So, but that's all open to debate.
And open to the rule of 3 by the looks of it. Because we've got
too many.
Palmer can't make it. Tonali can't make it.
Yeah, you're right.
Well, it depends who you're going for as a backup goalkeeper.
Yeah,
you're taking if you're taking the finest goalkeeper to ever come out of Costa Rica to have a final hurrah at a World Cup and hear our Black on from the bench. And we're not going to pick any more Costa Rican players in the squad, so it does free you up there.
Yeah, I think that one makes sense.
So is our goalkeeper going to be Helen Navas?
I think for backup goalkeeper, I think it's got to be, hasn't it?
Brilliant. I mean that is the romantic option. I mean, wow.
I mean, if we win our first 2 games, and there's the third game's a dead rubber in the group, you give him the Barbarians cap, don't you?
An attacking midfield. If we're getting rid of Palmer, it doesn't have to be attacking midfield. It can be any player that we picked.
Well, do we? Because I think Lewandowski should be in there, shouldn't he? I think if you need a goal and there are 10 minutes left in the game, you need a poacher to score. That feels like the stage is set for him.
I would be okay with that. Andrew, are we?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, and then that gives us. So I'm just looking at the Italians. Okay, so Tonali gets the third Italian spot on the bench. Then, yeah.
Cool, that's a good bench.
I'm glad we didn't do the full 26. We'd be all night.
That is strong. Yeah, that is a thing when.
Yeah, I mean that's a strong team. I mean, this is the reason why we need to be campaigning FIFA.
And as we know, Slobozai could play. Oh, Slobozai, that's not right, is it? Dominic, our Hungarian, can be moved to an emergency fullback. Can play almost anywhere for insane reasons. Yeah, I like that. I like that side. We've got a bit of formal business, though, haven't we? We've got to work out who is going to be in charge of this side. Who would get the most out of these players? Now, this one is probably the kind of the hardest category. We sort of we threw in some additional restrictions a little bit on this, haven't you, Jamie? You kind of tried to shy away from managers who have already got a job. But
yeah, when I put this together, I kind of set the rule in place that if you're in employment, then you've ruled out. So really, the list is. Well, look at the typo on. That's a brilliant typo. Coach, manager. Yeah, so I've ruled out coaches or managers that are in employment, and that includes Jurgen Klopp, who is employed in Germany in some capacity, I think, with RB Leipzig, and a very popular recruitment decision that was. Yeah, so obviously this list could be as long as you like it to be, but for the benefit of giving us a place to start, the coaches or managers that I have listed are Antonio Conte, the rage, fuel, revenge general, as I put there. Mauricio Sarri, smoke, patterns and chaos. Zinedine Zidane, Zizou from France, Real Madrid, the superstar whisperer. Sir Gareth, one more shot at glory. Our favourite World Cup winning touchline sniffer, Joachim Low, and also a very successful player and coach, Xavi Hernandez. Possession football, probably, if you want to go that way. And then there's a few that I've got there that I think we just need to think about quite seriously. Sean Dyche, I mean, I've got there Brexit ball meets global fair. I mean, Sean Dyche as a World Cup manager with the Barbarians, something about it I like. Ruben Amorim, but I think he's off the list. We're not playing free at the back. He would destroy all of our hard work. He would come in and suddenly we would have Tonali playing at left bloody wing back or right wing back. So I think Amorim's off the list. And then the last one I've got there on our list, but there could be any if you want, is the great Spaniard Sam Allardyce, because Big Sam always saves.
So I think I remember someone making the case for Neil Warnock last year. Disappointed that he's not on the.
He would be I would make a case for him him again. Another manager who's I'd say he's out of work. I think he's having more fun at the horse races these days. Harry Redknapp would be a great shout with this real attacking flair, and he wouldn't be too interested in it. I think with Redknapp you get you score 4, we'll score 5 mentality.
I mean, it is insane, but I kind of go with your logic, because I'm thinking the task of this job. Obviously, you could go for Pep, who has been quite successful as a manager over the years in one form or the other. But he's like a system. He needs, it takes time. What you're after is someone who can come in and manage, on kind of, it's pure man management. It's kind of build this team up. He's only got them there for a little while, which I think is one of the reasons I thought maybe Bielsa could do the job last time. I mean, I think Redknapp is a brilliant show. I always think he should have had a crack as a tournament manager, because if anyone can get a feeling of a team doing, feeling 100%, feeling like they could take anyone on. Brilliant. And, the idea of him unwinding his window and saying, "Oh, Tonali, terrific player.
Yeah, there's no brown paper bags with cash in it for transfers in this league. So would he?
He might not want the gig.
He might be more interested in sitting in his house in Bournemouth and having a cup of tea and watching the games as he does. As he
on a sort of not dissimilar vein. Could this be one last job for Claudio Ranieri, or broken flush?
I think Ranieri's still employment. I'm sure.
Well, he moves club every summer.
He does. That is true. That's not going to stop him. I mean, he does follow the paycheck. Bless him.
I mean, Arne Slot isn't on this list.
Well, he's down there with the others, with Thomas Frank and Thiago Motta as a possible contender. But I just felt it's probably too soon. Bless him. It's probably too soon.
Who did you have?
Ranieri is available. He is not. He's 74, 75 this year, and he is not, apparently, according to Wikipedia, not currently employed by any football team at this moment in time. So Claudio Ranieri, along with Harry Redknapp, are both available for approach. I feel this is the greatest game of Championship Manager I've ever played.
But there are some proper. There are two really interesting. Well, I mean, there's more than 2 options on that list. Joachim Low would be again, I feel a bit more of a system manager, but you got Southgate and Zidane really stand out for me. And Southgate would take this brilliant creative team that we've pulled together and put the handbrake on and play Phil Foden out on the left.
Yeah, I think you need a bit of tactical astuteness for a team like this, and then of course if this team played England, Southgate just wouldn't be able to even walk into the stadium because he loves his home nation far too much. He wouldn't be able to. He doesn't strike me as a Barbarians coach. No. Southgate.
Zidane, on the other hand, does have a sort of feel of a Barbarians coach. I'm still not really sure about Zidane as a coach or manager and tactician, but definitely as a figurehead.
I mean, if Zidane is taking this job, then FIFA are definitely listening to having a Barbarians team, aren't they? I mean, that is going to be the thing that sells there. Having Zizi back at the World Cup in some kind of capacity and not an ambassador. They're going to lap it up. Surely that's the commercial clincher for FIFA. They don't miss commercial opportunities, do they?
Do you not think there's a case for Big Sam to come in and do a job with this lot and rekindle the fire from that Bolton, was it 07, 08 side, which had because you're thinking like, oh, well, he'd only be good with like a bunch of English players. But you think about that Bolton team and the Ivan Campo and JJ Okocha, and like you had Jussi Jääskeläinen in goal. Like he had some real continental flair in that, and they were a great side. I mean, I know this is a long time ago, but has he ever really been given a great team to manage? He's always having to dig a team out of the trough all the time. And actually, if you gave him the talent that we've got, would he be able to turn them into winners?
I have to say, Andrew, I feel like I'm coming out of the cheese factory right now, because Jerry Maguire, you had me at hello. As soon as you started on that, I was like, I am committed. I think that's a great shout. I think that is supporting evidence right there. Who knew? I mean, he was our 500 to 1 shot, and there you go. I am definitely on board with Sam Allardyce.
And what we're doing is, which is one of the missions of the Barbarians, we're making things happen that should have happened. And Sam, of course, it cut down in his prime from the England job. This is his chance. He will have a point to prove. I'm happy to run with it.
I think we made a decision.
He's our guy then.
I didn't for a second think that would ever be the case, and here we are, all agreeing.
We're going to go with somebody like Antonio Conte or some. Yeah.
Our comment
flair. No, Big Sam gets in there. I mean, they'd have a good drink, wouldn't they? They'd be out on the.
I mean, it's potentially 8 games, isn't it? It's just 5 weeks of work. It's perfect for Allardyce.
Okay, so we should. Jamie, do you want to give us a quick reminder of the Barbarians FIFA 26 team?
I do and will. Yeah, so FIFA Barbarians 2026. Come on, FIFA. Let's make this happen next time. Let's try it in the Women's World Cup next year in 27. 4-2-3-1. Oblak in goal. Alexander, Maguire, Bastoni, and Calafiori as our defenders. Sloboside, Baliba, and Foden in midfield. And Embuemo, Osin, Hen, and Krabak Scheller as our attacking front line. On the bench, Navas, Milenkovic, Tonali, Lewandowski, João Pedro, and the brilliant and much misunderstood Sam Allardyce as manager.
What a team! That's a cracking team, actually, isn't it? I think that team would fare pretty well, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that is a great side. And I didn't actually come into this podcast thinking I was picking Big Sam either. I kind of as I was looking at it, I was like, do you know what? He could do a job here with this lot.
The recreating Bolton, that era Bolton, and there are lots of similarities. Campos, JJ Okocha, players who seemed quite happy, seemed to enjoy life playing under Big Sam. I think that team would fare, but I think that team would definitely get out of the group. I mean, it depends what group it's in, but I think it would have a decent chance of getting through the initial stages.
This is the next question, though. Surely we've got to rank them, right? I mean, should we shouldn't spare them a ranking. I know we've just made this up and it doesn't exist, but surely in the spirit of what this whole podcast is about, we need to find a way to judge how far they would have gone and where they would be judged in the history of the game.
Well, where do you think, so if they were to do this, where would they be seeded on the, if you were to have, would they come out as a bottom seed, but then do they come out as a top seed? Because I mean, what you don't want to do, you don't want to be if they're in as a bottom seed, whoever's group they go in is going to be the group of death, because you do not want to be playing that side, and you.
Yeah.
So if they went in as top seeds, I think they would be, they'd definitely get out the group.
Yeah, this is a good question. I mean, I hadn't really considered this. And this is the type of stuff that FIFA would produce a 412-page dossier document that would go through 28 legal teams just to kind of work out whether a Barbarians team does stand up. The detail can be so boring, can't it? But yeah, I think it's a brilliant question. Where would you see them? I don't think they could. I guess they probably would go into a pot 1, because where else could you put them?
At the very least, they would be pot 2, wouldn't they?
Yeah, I mean, where could you put them? I mean, They would have to.
But if you put them in, if you had them in like a pot 4, is that not what it's all about? Because what we're doing here is we're throwing a grenade into the competition.
Yeah, that's true.
So you've got, if you've got a group where you've got the likes of of Germany and Netherlands in one group from pot 1 and 2, and then in pot 4, and then the Barbarians somehow get in there. You've then got the fact that they're gonna disrupt and they're gonna throw a nation out of there. That should be what it's all about, really.
Yeah, I think that's brilliant, because you could get, they're in pot 4, they get drawn into the same group as England. They beat England 1-0, a Harry Maguire header at the back post.
Okay, pick a letter between A and L.
Well, I know England are, so I'm going L.
Are you going to put them in A? Right. So they have to go in instead of Panama, who I assume are the
lowest ranking signed.
They are in a group: England, Croatia, and Ghana.
I like this. This is brilliant. Yeah, I mean, we've just decided they've beaten England 1-0, right?
They'd get out of that group, 100%.
And also now we've got the lottery that I think it's 8 of the third place teams in the 12 groups qualify as well. So, the group stage is really 48 teams being whittled down to 32. It seems like a great waste of energy, to be honest. And so the question is, would they finish bottom of that group? And if the answer is no, then they're in the knockouts.
So if they won the group, you're looking at what they would meet. I think if you win that group, the round of 32 is almost a given. Can't remember who the matchup is there, but isn't it the round of 16 that you'd then meet Mexico in Mexico, which would be a fantastic game because then you're playing the hosts, and everyone would be tuned in for host nation against the Barbarians.
I definitely see them getting that far. That would be a tough fixture. Mexico, perennial underachievers, though, aren't they, or underperformers? So do we think the Barbarians can beat Mexico, or do we think they fall over there?
I think they've got enough there to beat them.
I think they win 4-2 on penalties, and Brian Mbuemo is the only one that misses.
Can Big Sam really outthink a side in the quarterfinals? Anyone? If they got an Argentina or a France or whatever, that feels like that's when they start to come unstuck.
Yeah, I think so. I think if they come up against anyone, like you say, they've got against a Spain or a Brazil, a Carlo Ancelotti side or something, that's where it probably does come to an end. But they could definitely be the disruptors and knock a host nation out for sure.
So that feels to me like they will have their. Well, Jamie, where are you going to put them ranking wise?
Yeah, I'll do your job for a second, just to remind our listeners of our categories. So, unless you want to do it, Greg.
We have 5 categories of greatness: all-time greats at the top, truly great second-tier category, our mid-tier category, touch greatness, edge or cusp of greatness. We might have rebranding there as tier 4, and tier 5, blinkered greats. Jamie, where do you want to go?
Yeah, I'm going to be grateful to James, who we had on last week, talking through the French team, where we ranked them on the edge of greatness. And I think I'm going to put our Barbarians in the tier 4 cusp of greatness category, as James coined it last week. Yeah, I think edge of greatness. Why not? It could easily be a touch, but I think the last time we did this, we were Euro team. I think we were blinkered greats or not great. So I think we've moved on a level. I think we've evolved this idea into something a bit more concrete. So edge of greatness, I think, is climbing the ladder for me.
Andrew, what do you reckon?
Yeah, I'd go with the same. I think, if they come up against anyone of real substance and a real manager, then we could start to get unstuck. But they've definitely got some wins in them, and they would get out of the group. And I think, quarterfinals potential.
I think that works. Difficult to tell. We don't know how they would do it unless we actually got to see them play Argentina that time. But wouldn't it be great if we did get to see them play? Jamie, what kit are they wearing?
What a great question. The last time I think we came up with the idea very brilliantly, actually, that there isn't a football team that plays in black, and because of the Barbarians play, sorry, because of the New Zealand rugby team playing black, we decided let's go with black. And then we had the colour of the socks. Do you remember? I think Stu really was talking about if you were left-footed, you wear a yellow sock, and right-footed, you wear a red sock or something like that. But I think, Andrew, I think it was your idea that the socks would be the colour of the nations that the players
Yes.
play for.
Yeah.
So, sorry.
Yeah, so I've stolen that idea from the rugby side. So they wear a sock from their club on one leg and then a sock from their nation on the other.
Which is a brilliant idea. So I've come up with two designs, and I'll share the first one, which is not the design I think, well, it's not the one I went for, but I'll share this one with you. So it's a simple black kit with a slash, Graham, but the slash
Oh,
is very rainbow in its form. So I thought we stick with the different colours, and I just realised I missed off the blue. God dear, it's not been good with these slides. But just to describe it, it's a black shirt, round neck. I've gone for a classic round neck, not the V neck, no collars. And then we've got a multicolored sash that goes from the left-hand shoulder to the right-hand hip. Various different colors in there, but the idea is that we've got a rainbow of colors. So that's the first one. There is another one I think that would be more appropriate, but I don't know. How do you guys
I
feel
love
about
a sash. I'm not 100% sold on it, but
It's a bit busy.
it is a bit busy, but which could be quite useful as a tactic. What's the second kit you're putting forward for us?
Yeah, so this one, I think this is less busy. I felt the same as you, Andrew. I thought it was a bit busy. So I kind of worked on the whole unity idea of the team. So the same black shirt with the classic round neck, and then we've got almost a horizontal bar, multicolored, but not so many colors and a bit smaller. And then the emblem on the left-hand side, which is just a bunch of hands touching each other in a non-sexual way.
And you didn't want to go for a Sao Paulo style skull and crossbones.
Yeah, I mean that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I like it all, but I think I want the skull and crossbones back.
Well, I will update it, and we can share that the next time we do a barbarian scene. But yeah, I mean the kit is important, but I would leave that to. I would like to think that Adidas would get on board because they're my preference over Nike and other kit manufacturers, and I think Adidas do produce some beautiful international football kits and some lovely club football kits as well, as I'm sure Andrew will.
Yeah, and
Well,
I think that'd look very nice with a white Adidas logo on it.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
like classic, the classic style logo.
So we'll pop those out on the socials so you can see them if you aren't pushing this. Excellent. Okay, well, this has been super sweet. Very much enjoyed it. We should probably end with a tiny thought. Sadly, that this team isn't going to be at the World Cup, but there are some other teams that will be. Andrew, you've already given us a hint who one team you don't think is going to win. Have you got any? I mean, this is like an impossible call, I think, this year. But any thoughts on who might be there?
I think it depends what France team turns up. As always, I think Spain will probably have too much. I've never been more convinced that England won't do it. Usually, every single World Cup, I'm like, yeah, this is it. We're gonna finally do it. But I think this is the first year in many years where I'm just not feeling it with the squad selection. I think we'll get out of the group, but as soon as we come up against anyone with any substance, I think we'll be out.
Yeah, it's a good shout. Jamie, have you got any?
I think this is quite possibly going to be the most open and unpredictable and surprising World Cup. And I think the addition of the extra teams, the addition of the round of 32, which I just think is a bomb. I think that could just blow this whole tournament into a different place. It was once as a knockout and introducing that additional knockout round. Yeah, I think it's going to be a very open World Cup. But if you're going to push me on a team, I liked what Michael Lewis suggested a few weeks ago, Graham, when we had him on talking about the USA 1994 World Cup. I think Portugal could do something. I think Martinez has tournament experience. He's taken Belgium to the semis. I think he's got a pretty tidy pool of players in Portugal. He just needs to solve the Ronaldo problem, I think, in terms of does he play him all the time, or does he play him when he needs to only play him? But that's his problem. And maybe the Netherlands as well. I think they're dark horses, big nation in terms of the football world. I think they falling off the list of favourites. England, France, Brazil, Spain, Argentina are all being muted as the favourites. But I think the Netherlands, if the draw is lucky to them, they might go deep in the tournament.
I mean, I think a Latin American team is probably, South American team is probably the most obvious thing. I'm not particularly enamoured of Brazil, and I don't think teams win World Cups 2 times running as a general rule. So they're probably not going to get there, but my surprise semi-finalists are Uruguay.
Yeah, I can't wait to see them.
It would be very, very romantic if they went and did it. But it would be good if he gets a good run in there. I think they're everyone's second team, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, the Barbarians would be my second team had they.
Well, they would genuinely.
People have done their bloody job.
Excellent. Okay, well, we got all that to look forward to. Andrew, thank you so much for helping us with this enterprise.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. It was really good fun.
I think we've done good work today. Thank you again, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you, Graham. Andrew, that's first class stuff. I really enjoyed that. This has been great fun, and I look forward to doing it again. But hopefully, a few different pods with you next season on proper teams, maybe.
So that's almost it for us this season. We've got one more pod to go. We'll be back next week with our promotion and relegation finale. See you then.